Hey there, Bookkeeping Side Hustle community. It's Kate, and we are here with another edition of Behind the Hustle. This series is where I'm interviewing interesting entrepreneurs who have built successful businesses in the bookkeeping and accounting space. The purpose of these interviews is to provide that real life look at what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur in this industry. I do see lots of messages out there that maybe present this as kind of like an easy field or only takes a few weeks to build a business. And I think real life stories are the best way for us to get an illustration of what is the truth about what it's like to do this. So my instructions to our guest here is to share the good, the bad, and the ugly, just like Clint Eastwood's movie. And in each interview, I'm going to ask all these guess the same question. So this is our fifth one. You might have seen the previous four. We're going to keep asking the same laundry list of questions, including that juicy revenue and income question at the end. So be sure to stay tuned. And hopefully you're subscribed to this channel so you can keep getting these interviews. I'm putting them all on a playlist on YouTube, so they'll be easy to find. And now, before we have our guests introduce ourselves, a word from our sponsor. And this episode is brought to you by me. I am so glad you found the Bookkeeping Side Hustle content. If you want support and encouragement starting or growing your bookkeeping business, you are in the right place. I've got a few different resources to point you to, and the links to all of these will be in the description of this video, y'all. You can access the Bookkeeping Side Hustle guidebook, where I lay out the 4 steps that I think are required to build a bookkeeping business. Make sure you're subscribed to the bi-weekly newsletter that I write on Substack. That's where I kind of build my business in public, show my behind the scenes, and also I round up resources and deals and events for y'all. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, like I've already said, and look at the history so you can look at some of the archive to catch our old videos. And you can come ask your questions in the Bookkeeping Side Hustle Facebook group. It's the best and most friendly accounting group in all the internet. And just for fun, I want to remind you that you can buy this nerdy T-account mouse pad. Dun, 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 dun. It's a cheat sheet mouse pad that every accountant has some sort of version of this cheat sheet in their studies. So grab a link to one of those at the Bookkeeping Side Hustle store, which will be linked below as well. Y'all, bookkeeping changed my family's trajectory, and I wish the same for you. And that is what the Bookkeeping Side Hustle community is all about. So now to ask our guest to introduce himself, Yehuda, tell us who you are. And just before I dive into the questions, just say hello to the audience.
Hello, audience. So I had a couple thoughts, Kate, when you were talking. So first of all, I think the accounting equivalent would be the debits, the credits, and the reconciliations. So you can trademark that if you want. That's the good, the bad, and the ugly.
The debits, the credits, and the reconciliations, right?
Yeah, because reconciliations can get really ugly. So
like a cigarette in my mouth, like Clint Eastwood. Okay,
exactly. But that being said, it's so exciting to be here. My name's Yehuda Tenenbaum, EA. I'm an enrolled agent, tax preparer, bookkeeper, finance guy. I've been in the accounting tax field for approximately, I don't know, I can count, but not that high. Oh, no, it's not that long. It's 6, 7, 8, 9 years. I've had quite a journey to get here, and I'm still very much on that journey. So I'm happy to be here and to give over that advice and sort of talk about what I did, and hopefully maybe that can help somebody else.
Yeah, so let's just start with a little more about that background. Education, training, how your career has, the path that career has been on, that led up to you starting your business.
Yeah, sure. So I had a pretty unique trajectory, I guess you could say. I did not go to a standard college, general education, things like that. I spent actually 4 or 5 years post high school in a yeshiva studying Talmudic law, which, as whoever knows, it's like extremely analytical, extremely detailed, and it's a lot of work. So certainly a lot of work was done, but I did not decide at 18, hey, I want to become an accountant. Instead, I actually, it's a couple funny stories in order. But when I was away in school, my mom gave me like a budget of like $50 a month, and
big spender.
Oh yeah, and I wasn't so happy with that. If she's listening now, then I'm saying this with all due respect. I wasn't so happy with that amount. So what did I do? I collected all of my receipts on everything I spent money on, and I made a spreadsheet on the school computer. And then I emailed her that spreadsheet and said, "Hey, Mom, what would you like me to not spend money on? Here's all the receipts. Here's all the transactions. This was before I even knew what bookkeeping was. So that was my first sort of hint into the accounting and bookkeeping world. And then after I came back to my hometown, I met my wife. We actually, right after we got married, my wife ran a camp for like a summer camp, a backyard summer camp. And I became the sort of impromptu CFO really quickly, because someone needed to take care of collecting the money and recording the money and filing the taxes. And that's sort of what led me into filing our first joint tax return together. And then I said, I'm not paying someone else to do this. I could do this myself, which is something I thought about most professional things up until the point that I actually became an accountant. And then I said, okay, no more doing my own plumbing. We're hiring a plumber. So that's sort of what led me into there. My background specifically in tax, I'm an enrolled agent, which is my current credential. Before that, I had a Maryland individual tax preparer license, which is specific to Maryland. But really, I got my start with bookkeeping about, I think it was 2018. There was a nonprofit in town. They were looking for a bookkeeper, and I said, I could do that for sure. Well, it turns out it does take some skill, which I'm sure you know.
Yes.
And that's really what jumpstarted my career into learning about bookkeeping, learning accounting, and then eventually getting into taxes. And now I've come full circle and doing bookkeeping as well for my clients. So it's again, I did not take the typical route. The nice thing about the enrolled agent credential is that you don't need a college degree. So that I was able to just take those tests, become an enrolled agent, and continue to take on tax clients, which was really great. And as I've been growing my practice, I've also been expanding services so I can offer the full suite of services to the small businesses that need this desperately.
So I want to kind of clarify how much of this how long did you have a day job? I want to find out if you still have a day job.
Oh, good question.
Were you working? Was it the taxes on the side, and then was that bookkeeping client on the side, or was that your full-time job?
Yeah, the first job doing bookkeeping, I mean, it was really a part-time job, but I was just getting started in the accounting in the work world. I needed my first job, and then I was studying a federal tax course on the side. So that was really like the beginning. But actually, what led me from there, I started my tax firm back in 2019 after I got my first license, and I was working full time for other people. So first I started at an accounting firm, but I always had a few clients on the side. And actually, as I progressed through my daytime job, I had a side hustle of doing taxes, and everybody knew about that. So I did accounting at a law firm for a while, but I was still running my tax firm on the side. And then my most recent full-time role was as a finance manager for a fintech startup based in New York. And it was a great opportunity because I got to do a lot of cool things, spend a lot of money, which it was VC backed. So, we spent money like drunken sailors, although, take that metaphor as you wish. And it was really great to, as I be in the thick of things, dealing with budgets that were way higher than I was ever used to, and learning a ton. And simultaneously, I was running my tax business. So back in this past December, that's when I left that role. And I decided I'm going to go full speed ahead with just working for myself and being able to, well, not really working for myself, working for all of my clients. So I went from one boss to having like 100 bosses, but it's fine. I'll take that any day. It's something, really started as a side hustle, and I never knew exactly when or where it would grow into. But thankfully, I'm very thankful that it's grown into what it has grown into, because I'll say the past 8 months has probably been the best 8 months of my working career, hands down.
I can't wait to get even more details about the past 8 months, but I would like to know more about that first client. And the way you're talking, it makes me kind of like, I wonder if there is even a story there, or if you just kind of felt like, I have such a strong memory of my first client and how I was like really getting to it. And there's a sense in which it seems like maybe people are just kind of like falling to you, like, I don't know, friends and family. Like, what's that first? Because you weren't talking about those first years like, I started a tax business. So it was kind of like I'll do some people's taxes. That's your tone from those first years, but maybe I'm misreading it. So just tell us about that. The first person that paid you American dollars? Who was that?
It's a really good question. And I think your intuition is really spot on because I have no idea who my first client was.
Okay.
I know it was a mix of like friends and family, specifically friends. I can maybe remember one or two. And I'll say, like, I'll put it this way. I'm very appreciative of the trust they put in me at such an early stage in my career.
Yeah.
But certainly I had a commitment to them that I would get done whatever needed to get done in the right way. But yeah, I'll say, like, if in another life, if I wasn't doing taxes, I would totally be in sales all day long because I love talking to people and I love figuring out what works for people and getting them to, get what they need. So that always came very naturally to me. The joke I always say is I find it extremely easy to bring up that I'm an accountant in natural conversation. And at this point, it's totally subconscious. I actually, so after April 15th, I went to go sign up for a local gym because us accountants, our January 1st, when we do all our New Year's resolutions, is actually April 16th.
Yeah.
The entire tax season, we say, oh, after April 15th. We'll do it after April 15th. So on April 16th, or
Yep.
maybe a day or two after, I went to my local gym and signed up. And as I was talking to the nice lady who was helping me from membership services, we got to talking and she was like, oh, you're an accountant? Because, of course, within 2 sentences, I somehow managed to bring that up. And I still have to go back to her and see if she really needs those services she said she needed to. But it just comes very natural to me. I can always figure out how to sort of work it into conversations. Now, there will be a point in my career where I'm going to start hiding that because, when you're at a party, if you say you're an accountant, everyone's going to line up and ask you, oh, what about that new tax law? Can you give me advice? And it's like, no, I need a charge for that. So you can sign up on my website. How about that? But that was always that just came naturally. And I'm very thankful to, again, those first few clients and then all the referrals I've gotten over time that has really led me to where I am today and where I'm going.
I just, compared to the other interviews, compared to my own story, just hearing your tone of like accidental entrepreneurship or like maybe more people should start a business but not think of it so seriously. I think some people can get in our heads so much. Like, first of all, bookkeeping is serious, accounting is serious. You have to know what you're doing. And I do bet you knew what you were doing, and you were preparing, and you were studying, and you were probably going slow to do those right. But at the same time, you weren't thinking of this as like this huge thing that was so scary. And like, probably if it hadn't worked out, you would have been like, well, I did a people's taxes and I'm finding this other thing that I like. And so maybe there's someone out there who needs to hear this message of like, hey, let's just see where this goes, and feeling this like pressure of like some scary, huge thing that's like where there's like an on-off switch. It doesn't feel like there was an on-off switch where one day you weren't a business owner and the next day you were. So I don't know. I love that first client story that you don't even know. I know who mine was. Her name was Carrie, and she gave me a paper check, and I still have it.
Nice.
So I
think I could speak to a few points there. Number one is I'm extremely lucky. My wife was extremely supportive in pursuing this career, and she really pushed me forward. That first course on federal taxes, which was like an online correspondence course, it took me like over a year to complete. And once I completed it, of course, I completed maybe like 60% of the studying in the last 2 weeks of that year. And I'm like, what took me so long? And it's very easy to look back and be like, wow, but it's really, everything is a journey. So it is a lot, and it could be a lot, but I'm a big fan of iteration. You can go into a job. At one point, one of my jobs, after I left that bookkeeping job, I actually went to go work for a company that dealt with insurance, negotiating insurance rates for dentists. And I very quickly said, I will deal with the IRS all day long. I have no interest in dealing with insurance companies. So I iterated. I took a leap of faith. I got a job at an accounting firm for the next tax season. I left that job, and it really worked out. Now, regarding side hustles in general, I am a huge fan of having some sort of side hustle because it really enables you to sort of make money more than what your day job is going to give you, regardless of how much you show up or how much effort you put in. Being able to get that direct feedback correlation between what effort I put out and that value returning in the form of money. I always say that the best form of appreciation is money, because that's what it is. That's in
Yeah.
essence, that's what we're doing. If we weren't appreciating it, we would not pay for it. And so when we appreciate it, we pay for it. So like having that direct feedback loop, it's so empowering. Being able to know like, oh, the end of the month is coming. I don't have enough money. Oh, I mean, this is what I do sometimes. I tell my wife, she says, oh, I need to go clothing shopping. I said, just give me 1 minute. I have to finish this tax return. Okay, now you can go clothing shopping.
Yeah.
Now you can go grocery shopping. So being able to build that up. Now, certainly it comes with all its challenges and pitfalls and, oh no, what's going to happen? Da, da, da. But like, so does an employee, a job as an employee where, oh, does my boss hate me? Do they want to fire me? All the existential dread that goes into that. Like in every situation, you're going to have that. I'll say there's something unique about entrepreneurship that in a way you feel like you're sort of putting your life in your own hands, obviously with the support of everyone around you. So I think it's a balance, and people need to know and be introspective and be in touch with themselves to know, well, which direction do I see myself really going? Can I push myself to do this? Because I have to wake up every morning and go to an office by myself. And there's nobody telling me to go to that office. Yeah, exactly. You can relate. So, I mean, that's why I like, meeting other people and having phone calls and, going out to networking events. But at the end of the day, the work needs to get done. So people have to be in touch with themselves and know like, well, where is this going to work for me? And if it does, I say go for it, because there's nothing like being passionate about something and then being able to provide that to the world.
Yep. Well, so maybe this is what you've been talking about is kind of your answer, but like, I want to know what the hardest part has been, hardest part of entrepreneurship. Once you finally actually kind of realized, oh crud, I have a business. What's been the hardest part?
I would say the hardest part really is after I sit down in that chair, because I can sit down in the chair, is getting actual work done. I'm so good at coming up with a million things to be like, oh, let me go read the Internal Revenue Manual. Like, that's a great idea right now. Let me go look at court cases. Yeah, I really enjoy that. Oh, let me go print out that recent report from that this congressional committee put out, and do nothing that's actually a billable hour or a billable service. So I'd say for me, that's probably the biggest thing. I know a lot of people, thankfully I do have a good amount of clients. I'm building that up. But that's probably, I'll say, the largest pitfall for me, which is why I need to hold myself very accountable. The money aspect sort of helps, like when you don't have any money in your bank account, that helps you hold yourself accountable, because hey, you need to pay yourself. Payday's coming up any day you need money. So again, it's sort of like that same feedback. But for me, I'd say that's the biggest thing. And then also probably doing it alone. And again, even with a network, with, friends, and you can be on WhatsApp groups and you can be on accounting Facebook groups. At the end of the day, like, I'm still going to an office by myself. And as someone who is an extreme extrovert, it's very lonely sometimes, which is why I make sure to make time to speak to other accountants like I'm doing here.
Yeah. So do you have plans to change the business structure and get a team? And
this has been an ongoing thought for me, and I'm grappling with it. I like sort of want to. I feel like if I hire someone and I have them come into the office, then I can't just sit and watch YouTube videos all day, because then that would be embarrassing. I should just hire someone to hold me accountable. That's really, I think that alone would be worthwhile. They could just sit here and, not doing anything either. No, but seriously,
you'd make more. You'd make enough more to pay for them. Probably.
Yeah. Okay. No, but seriously, I thought about it. I'm really not sure. I'm a big fan, which we can talk about this in a bit, but I'm a big fan of automating as much as I possibly can. And that's been my, like, I was just showing somebody this the other day, and they were like, wow, how do you even know about that? And I was like, I don't know, I figured it out. I said, I don't want to do this again. And then I figured out how to not have to do it again. So I'm a huge fan into, making sure I have the right tools to do things in the best way possible. And that's sort of why I don't like necessarily repetitive work, because if it's repetitive, it could probably be figured out. So I'll have to see how things go in the future. For now, I think I'm going to stay status quo, but maybe I'll get overwhelmed in the middle of tax season and actually decide to make that leap and hire someone.
Well, and you look pretty young too, so you got a lot of decades of taxes left under you, I'm guessing.
Thank you. Yes,
so.
That's the plan. Lots of taxes.
So what's been the best part of entrepreneurship?
The best part is the part that I actually dreamed about, figuratively speaking, which is having the freedom to, in the middle of the day, go somewhere I need to go, and nobody's calling me and saying, "Where are you?" Uh, I'd say that is probably the biggest perk. Now, obviously, you also have to make sure to work, but like when you're on your own schedule, you really could make it work, and it's great. That's the freedom is something that I don't take for granted. And I really, really appreciate. Oh, and not getting unlimited, I call it unlimited unpaid time off, because I can take off whenever I want. I just don't get paid,
Yeah.
not doing any work. So, but also, especially like I'm Jewish and we have a lot of Jewish holidays, and then I have to always coordinate. They're always at different times of the week, and then I have to like take off 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday, and I'm in office Thursday, and there's just so much like back and forth. And now, especially, I have 3 young children at home, ages 3, 5, and 7. There's another doctor's appointment like every other day. There's always something going on. Somebody's sick, emergency here, pick up from school, something like that. And just having that flexibility to be able to be there for my family and be there for me and my life is probably the biggest perk of having my own business.
I love it. Can't dispute that. Those of you who will be listening to this after this live stream, if any of this resonates with you so far, give Yehuda a thumbs up and a comment. I shared in my last Bookkeeping Side Hustle newsletter that I shifted my life around to be able to teach algebra for 2 weeks. For the first 2 weeks of school, because our school lost its algebra teacher quit like the week before, and I am approved to be a sub because that's how I like to spend my free time, and like that's what I'm wanting to do, like the way you described, for being able to go where I want to go. I want to go into my kids' school, and so I was able to shuffle stuff around. I only worked in the mornings. I worked till lunch, and then I locked myself in a room and worked in the afternoons. But and it was amazing how much more I got done whenever I didn't have like all day. P.S. There's that too.
Yeah,
so maybe you should
I can
go sub.
I only have an hour. All of a sudden, I got 7 tax returns done.
Yeah, exactly. The school bell's about to ring. I have 3 hours left, and I don't want to get my computer out when I get home. So I was like in a little closet that they let me use and I used their Wi-Fi, and I was able to work in the afternoons.
That's awesome.
It's a dream. Like it's what I want to do, and I don't have to ask permission. Okay, so we asked about whether you're planning on hiring folks, but I guess just to dive in a little bit more, have you outsourced anything? Are there any contractors that you've like got help with, maybe on like hard cases or anything like that? Is it all you?
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, when it comes to something I'll say difficult, I'll reach out to my various networks for help. I'm a member of the National Association of Enrolled Agents, NAEA, which is a great network for finding like experts in every area of tax law. Yeah. So if I ever have a really hard question, I'll reach out to them on their member web board, or they have a Facebook group as well. So I try to stay very connected that way. But no, so far everything I've done has been me only, which my clients really appreciate. They like not having to go in between 5 different people before they can reach me, which is again blessing and a curse at the same time, because I like talking to people. So if you call me, I'll probably answer.
I see that our mutual friend Nayo Carter Gray is listening to this, and so I'm going to chime in with one old tip that I got not from her, but from her conference that she hosted 3 years ago, maybe.
Okay.
For people who are hardcore solo like you, and it was a man named Tyrone Gregory, I think is his name. He's a YouTuber tax guy. And he said, make your website be your secretary and your salesman. And there's not been a ton of things that have like stuck with me. And like, I think of Tyrone on Nayo's conference, probably once a month, when I think about just his idea was probably some of the automations that you're doing, but like, I want to have I need to have tech fill the role of my secretary and my salesman. Yeah. And I have miles to go. I can do in both of those categories, but those are in the back of my mind, and it just stuck with me so much. And he is kind of like a solo guy, and that's what his expertise is. It's like, how do you run? And he teaches people how to do good at being solo. So can people book time with you on your website? Can you get people to pay you from your website? That's the way to generate sales. So anyway, my next question is about tech. Now, I'm a bookkeeper. I've only prepared taxes for free, which I encourage everyone to do.
So nice of you.
The IRS volunteer program is a great program.
Like not like your family being like, can you file my return?
No,
like,
no.
legitimately. Okay, that's really nice of you.
I was trained, and I had to pass a test, and I filed many returns, but they were all for like seniors and low income, and it's a wonderful program. And I wanted to get smarter in taxes in general without having to actually I don't want to become a tax person, but I knew I needed to be able to speak that language. And so I was like, I got to get my hands on some tax returns just so I could feel that muscle a little bit stronger. Sure. But anyway, most people are maybe coming at this from the bookkeeping side, although I think you're the second tax flavored person that has in this particular series. So there's clearly a lot of overlap. But the question is a tech stack question. So I want to know your tech stack.
I want to talk about the tech stack. I also want to talk to your point about preparing returns. That's one of the biggest disconnects I found, was that in school they teach you tons and tons of concepts, and they forget to teach you the actual form. There's a form at the end of the rainbow that needs to be prepared. And I always say the best practice for anyone, if you're in school and you're taking a class on taxation, go get a form and fill it out. The instructions are there on the form, and then there's also supplemental instructions you can look at. That is the best way to really understand the concepts after you've done the initial learning. But okay, on tech stack, okay, here we go. So I actually just did a post on LinkedIn recently, because I was talking to another accountant, and I was telling her, hey, here are all my tips and tricks that people don't realize. People think you need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars, and you actually don't. There are a lot of amazing ways to start very cheaply. I'm a huge fan of starting off with very low overhead. Will you be able to get a super niche? Not necessarily. Can you do that later? For sure. We'll iterate. We'll figure it out for the future. But for starting, so my main software that connects to everything, bookkeeping, taxes, sales tax, anything I'll be doing, is TaxDome. I'm sure you've heard about it. TaxDome is one of the largest practice management softwares out there, and it's funny because I actually, in December, after I'd left that previous job, I said, hey, I really need a new software to do intake, to have proper organizers, because my previous setup was doing PDF fillable forms, and there was just so many issues with it on so many levels. So I looked at a lot of different intake tools, and then I looked at TaxDome and I said, wait a second, this doesn't just do intake, this does everything. Why would I not do this? This is the best best value for the money you're going to spend. So TaxDome is my practice management. My clients absolutely love it. Even when I made that switch, everybody, there was a few people that were like, hey, this is unfamiliar, I'm a little confused. And I said, don't worry about it, I'll walk you through it. They absolutely love it. They love the app. They love the client website. I have it connected to my website so people can sign in directly from my website. You were saying, to your point earlier, you were like, you want your website to be your salesperson. Well, when I love getting on calls with people, but I've gotten to the point where if you call me for a tax return, I'll say 100%. Let me just get your situation. Okay, you've described your situation to me. Sounds like we're a good fit. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you a welcome email. And in that welcome email is going to be a link to my portal to sign an engagement letter, to pay a deposit, and to fill out the organizer. As soon as you do those three things, I'm happy to prepare your tax return. And now I have saved tons of time in separating the people who are actually serious about coming to me versus the people that are like, I want, they're just shopping around. They're just trying to find out a price. And then I don't have to waste extra time. So I'm using TaxDome for that. I'm also using QuickBooks Online. I'm a QuickBooks Online accountant, connected to all my, various clients' accounts. So that's my main thing. That's my bread and butter, I guess you could say. Really where I started many years ago, and where I still am, happily. And then I also, so for tax software, I've been using OLT Pro, which I highly recommend anyone starting in the tax world to take a look at, because it's unlimited returns for a set price. So there's no variable cost. You can build up your firm as big as you want. Again, can it do, a return with 32 states in it? No, I would not recommend that. But also, I hope that you're charging enough money when you're doing 32 states that you should be able to buy, a much higher level software. So that's what I've been using for that. And really, it's always iterating because I'm always coming up with new ideas. This upcoming tax season, I'm working on shifting over to new tax software, as well as this new software that recently came out called Juno, which is like an AI tax prep, which means I upload all the documents, it pulls the data, I review it, and then it has an AI agent that goes into my software to enter all the data for me. I'm still in the testing stages, but it looks like it's very promising. I became good friends with their whole team, and I'm really excited to get to know them. They're a great group of people. And then I'm a big fan of Adobe Acrobat. I know not everybody is. I use the OG PDF editor and tool for commenting on PDFs. Us accountants love our PDFs. So yeah, there's something about a PDF. And whatever you do, don't send us a PDF of a spreadsheet. Send us the spreadsheet, then we'll make it into a PDF. That's a tip for all the clients out there.
So are you using any other like bookkeeping tools? So are you trying to get more bookkeeping clients? Is that what's happening? Is it the plan?
Right now, what I'm working on is all my clients that have businesses, I'm working towards, and I already have like 4 or 5 signed up, and I'm doing monthly bookkeeping for it. But basically, I'm saying like, hey, listen, come to me for the bookkeeping, and January 15th, your return will be done.
So easy.
And now I can go ahead and just have the return done on time, and know that the work that I can validate the work because I'm the one who did it. So far, it's been really successful. So I'm not using any specific tools for bookkeeping other than QuickBooks Online, and then just messaging them in TaxDome. That's something I am working on. TaxDome actually introduced a bookkeeping integration where you can send. It's still in the early stages, I'll call it, but where you can basically send a message connected to a transaction that's connected to QuickBooks. So I'm still in the testing phase of that, but also a lot of my clients are much more on the smaller side, which is why I'm trying to give them that like just full service feel where I'm going to take care of them, take care of their business, and get them to where they need to be.
Okay, all right. There's this tech stack, y'all. Everyone's been a little different. So the juiciest question of all is I ask folks to talk about revenue. So revenue, income.
I have some of that revenue.
You have revenue. Good. Number of clients and how much you charge. Like basically anything you're willing to share about your pricing, how much you're making, because people need to know this. They need to know what's possible. When you've had maybe some months of struggle, just kind of anything about revenue, we would be appreciative.
Sure. Okay. So I will be a little vulnerable and be a little bit open because I think it's really good for the community. About 4 years ago, I was working at a law firm with an accounting job, and I was making about $42,000 a year. There were some benefits as well, health insurance, which was nice. Before I ended tax season, before April 15th, I'd already gotten gross revenue above that. And for me, like that was a huge milestone because what really led me to push myself to get more into the accounting world was there was a week where I think somebody got COVID or something like that. It was still around that time. And like, I was out of work for a week, basically, not any fault of my own. And I was like, hey, I can't do this. And I have no way of like getting ahead. So I'm very appreciative that this has been a really successful tax season. I'll say with every success, there's always seems to be hurdles. One thing that happened right before the deadline was, unfortunately, everybody was okay, but unfortunately, our minivan got totaled, and I had to drop like $4,000 on a new minivan after insurance. But I was able to do that because I was flush with cash from all my tax returns, which was an amazing thing because I don't think there would have been another time in my life where I just have been able to do that and still continue to pay my monthly expenses. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'll say in terms of what I've made so far, it maybe hasn't been exactly as much as I would have wanted to because I'm like still spending a lot of money. Like I set up a new office, I bought a laptop. Like there's still like all these like little things that I had to sort of figure out. But in terms of how much I'm charging my clients, I'll tell you what I've done in the past, and I'm working on creating a new structure for the future. So in the past, I've always done a $250 base price. And that number has gotten higher over the years. And then that includes an hour and a half of work. So I have been using a billable hour function or form format for billing, and then anything after an hour and a half is billed at my hourly rate of $175.
Okay.
Usually I've gotten a knack for figuring out like how long a tax return will take. And then also I'll charge additional flat rates for Schedule C's, Schedule E's. The new model I've gotten now with bookkeeping specifically is I've gotten a lot of my clients onto like a flat rate, depending on how many transactions they have and how many accounts they have and how complicated, any manual entries that need to go into it. I've just gotten them into a flat rate monthly, monthly rate anywhere between maybe $250 to $350 for now.
Okay.
That's what I'm starting off with. Again, a lot of my clients are the lower end. I'll say a little bit of this is an experiment to figure out, okay, let's say I am charging this amount. Well, what's that going to mean for my income and the amount of time I'm spending on it? So I'm still iterating. I'm still working through it. Now, for the future, one of the things that I want to work towards, I just started reading this great book about tiered pricing and value pricing, which I know is all the everyone talks about value pricing all day long, which I'm a big fan. I'm also a fan for start today, figure out what works, and then you iterate in the future. So I am working towards like a tiered pricing structure where clients can choose. Here the thought was, hey, I'm giving away so much free service, service for free. I need to stop giving away all that stuff for free and figuring out how to charge for it. So basically what's included in the higher tiers is going to be, IRS notice monitoring and estimates and tax planning and things like that. So I'm working on expanding that, but it's really, you got to just start somewhere. You got to stick to your price and stop giving discounts. And that's coming directly from my wife, who always tells me, before you ever give a discount, you talk to me first. And then she always gets me to not give a discount, which
it's a good friend to have. Yeah, good friend to have.
She's my she talks me off the edge of giving a discount. So that's really helpful. She's like, no, we need to buy groceries this week. You're not giving discounts. I know. I'm like, no, but I feel so bad. And she's like, no, don't do it. So, but the I'll say like the information I would want to give to someone who's starting this is like, just start. Just figure it out and just charge. Like you just gotta go. You're not gonna, thinking about it is not going to get you the clients. You just have to execute, be decisive, execute, and then stick with it, whatever that thing is, and then do some introspection, figure out if it worked. If it didn't, iterate again and change it again.
But to be clear, you're making more than you did when you had the W-2 job. Right?
Not exactly.
Okay.
So my previous job was at a startup, and I was very fortunate that because it was a startup and it was internal accounting, I was making a really nice salary. I have not surpassed that yet. I'm hoping, but it also hasn't been a year, so I can't even tell you. It certainly, although again, having my soul back and not working 22 hours a day, which did happen at one point, fun story. I have my life back. What I said to my wife Friday night, we sat down, we have a meal every Friday night, a really nice meal together. And I sat down, I said, the cool thing about what I've been able to do in the past 8 months is I've been able to selectively remove all the stressful people out of my life and replace them with amazing people that I really enjoy being around. And I'm happy. And there's no price on that. Honestly, that's priceless. And I want people to think about that when they make those choices, and each person's going to be different.
Yeah. Well, and I think I'm imagining, because I know there was a big solo, jumping in full time recently. And so I would bet that just the behaviors and the stress and the responsibility and there's probably going to be like a milestone in time where this is what the business looked like before, and this is what it's going to look like after that moment. Because it's just going to be naturally so different. With trajectory
from a trajectory perspective, I know that everything I'm setting up this year is going to get me way further than anywhere else I would have been.
So we'll talk to you again in a year after full-time self-employment.
Yes.
Year 2,
I'll give you the update.
Season.
I'll be back.
So thank you for sharing that. What you're willing to share, I appreciate it. I think it provides a good context. And so the last question to close us out is, what is your best advice for a new bookkeeper?
New bookkeeper. Okay, you have to print out the accounting equation and put it on your wall, and every day look at it and stare at it. And every day, Kate, I want one of those.
A mouse pad. Okay, I gotta send you one.
I want one of those. Seriously, a lot of people forget that bookkeeping at its foundation and core
Yes.
is accounting. And
Tell
you
me.
have to understand what assets are, what liabilities are, what equity is, and how they correlate and relate to each other. Also, this is my biggest pet peeve. Opening balance equity is not a real equity account. There. I've said it. All bookkeepers
Okay.
scream from the rooftops.
And
Opening balance
everyone
equity
else-
is not real equity account.
Everyone else on the fence is run like nerds.
Yeah.
All hanging up this call.
Listen, I can get very into the details, but more importantly, don't stop learning.
Okay.
Don't just become complacent with, oh, I'm a bookkeeper now and I figured it out. No. Keep on learning. You want to get a QuickBooks certification? Get a QuickBooks certification. You want to take an accounting course? Take an accounting course. Whatever it is, don't stop learning. Don't stop honing your craft and getting more knowledgeable, because there's no better reward when you give yourself that opportunity to have more opportunities.
That's fantastic. We're going to be done with this call. Y'all, we're going to do more of these interviews. I'm going to take one quick second to say the reason I know Yehuda and I have heard some of his personal story was because he was one of the awardees for the Accounting Cornerstone Foundation Scholarship last year that I'm privileged to be a part of. And so we were able to send him to his first ever accounting conference. And so if you go to accountingcornerstone.org, if you've never been to an accounting conference, you can apply and we will send you a full scholarship. You could potentially win a full scholarship to one. And if you have been to a conference for our industry, we want your money. So go donate, please, at accountingcornerstone.org. But that's how I know Yehuda. We sent him to the NAEA tax conference.
Tax summit.
Summit
and
last year.
If I could give a plug for ACF as well, I will say that when I left my role in December and was going full-time for myself, I actually sent a message back then and I said, hey, I just wanted to let everyone here know that the Accounting Cornerstone Foundation completely changed the trajectory of my life. Had I not gone to that conference, I never would have had the vision or aspirations for doing what I did. People were saying, hey, now that you left that role, are you going to go look for another job? And I said, no way. And they said, wow, you're so confident. I said, well, yeah, because I have amazing people around me. So yes, donate today, sign up today if you want to win a scholarship. Accounting conferences are fun. I'm there. I'm a fun guy. They are so much fun and they're so exciting. The next NAEA tax summit will actually be in New Orleans. So it's going to be a party. And I will be there along with all the other fun accountants. So, for sure, sign up, show up, and get involved.
I, as a non-tax person,
you should still come. It's so much fun.
Well, I was going to say some of the most passionate people are these tax people. Like when you said you like to read like reports and IRS documents, and I'm just looking at I'm like, oh my gosh, bless your heart. But I see people like you, and it's like, it's kind of like you either love it or hate it, I feel like. And so this is a I'm about to go on a journey to find the answer to this question. What makes our brains so different that we go tax law? Yeah. And everyone else is like, no, I'm allergic. I know. So I'll keep everyone posted on when I get the answer to that question. And so maybe it's like a good test, y'all, if y'all are still trying to figure out where you are in this sort of finance and accounting world, maybe go read a couple of IRS publications or fill out the return with the printed instructions. And there are seriously people who it makes their hearts just sing. And you seem to be one of them, and you can't wait to go to New Orleans, and people should definitely keep trying to find you. Y'all, his links to his social media will be below. Oh, it looks like you're a TikToker as well. So in the description,
every so often, don't judge me.
We're going to put his ways to stay in touch with him. He's a generous man and wants to help build this industry. He's we're going to be watching great things from him. So Yehuda, you're a talker. I'm a talker. We're going to wrap this up because we can go on for another hour.
I'm sure we could.
I'm so grateful. Thank you for your cheerfulness and your honesty. And I'm just proud to see this journey and have had this. You've inspired me in this 45 minutes. And I know you're going to inspire a lot of other people too. So I'm grateful. Y'all will make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can keep seeing videos like this and real life stories. Adios for now, everyone.